Hello. Thank you for having me today. So I'm going to talk about how teachers can support English learners by focusing on their strengths, culture, and experiences instead of seeing them as students who are behind. So first, I'm going to go over the culturally responsive teaching. So culture has a big impact on how students learn, communicate, and interact in the classroom. Things like family values, traditions, and even expectations about school can shape how a student participates. Because of that, teachers need to be culturally aware and adjust to how they teach. Cultural competence means understanding and respecting students' backgrounds and using that knowledge to make the instruction more meaningful. For English learners, this is especially important because language and culture are connected. If we ignore their culture, we're ignoring a big part of who they are. One way to integrate students' cultural values is by including examples, texts, and activities that may reflect their backgrounds. For example, teachers can use stories from different cultures and allow the students to share personal experiences or connect lessons to real life situations from their communities. And it can also create a um, very good discussion in the classroom. So this will bring me to culture in student learning and inclusive environments. Culture plays a major role in a student learning because it affects their confidence, participation, and motivation. When students feel like they belong, they are more likely to take risks, like speaking in a new language. The classroom environment also impacts language acquisition. Um, if the students feel safe and supported, they are more willing to practice English. But if they feel judged or uncomfortable, they may shut down and it won't lead to anything. So that's why creating an inclusive environment is so important. Teachers can do this by building relationships, setting clear expectations, and showing respect for any of the cultures that their students may practice, be a part of. Simple things like displaying multicultural materials, learning how to pronounce student names correctly, and encouraging collaboration can make a big difference. Which brings me to cultural diversity and leveraging assets. There are a lot of ways teachers can support celebrating cultural diversity. For example, they can use diverse books, include group projects where students share perspectives, and celebrate different cultural events in meaningful ways. Another important strategy is allowing students to use their home language as a resource. Instead of telling students to only use English, teachers can let them brainstorm, take notes, or discuss ideas in their first language. Teachers can also connect lessons to students' cultural backgrounds, which makes learning more relevant and engaging. Which brings me to supporting the needs and identities of those students. So, English learners are not all the same, so teachers need to use different strategies based on students' strengths and needs. Some students may need visuals, sentence frames, or extra time, while others may benefit from group work or hands on activities. For EL students with special needs, it's important to provide both language support and any required accommodations. This could include simplified instructions, assistive technology, or one on one support. Social and emotional support is also really important. Learning a new language, as it can be very stressful or even isolating at times. And teachers can support students by building that trust, checking in regularly, and creating a classroom where mistakes are seen as a part of learning. So that'll bring me to routines and procedures. Understanding students' social, emotional, and cultural backgrounds is important when creating classroom routines. Not all students are used to the same expectations. So, for example, some students may come from cultures where speaking out in class is not common. Um, because of that, teachers should introduce routines in a supportive way and give students time to adjust. Using clear instructions, modeling expectations, and allowing different ways to participate can help all students feel comfortable. And when those routines are consistent and respectful of students' backgrounds, it can help create a more positive learning environment. Which brings me to family and community practices. So students don't just learn at school, they learn from their families and communities too. And these experiences are called funds of knowledge, and even they can be very valuable in a classroom setting. For example, students might have knowledge and cultural traditions, jobs, or real life skills that are connected to what they're learning in school. When teachers include these expectations, um, experiences, and lessons, it makes learning more meaningful and helps students feel valued. Which brings me to family, community, and school partnerships. Building strong relationships with families is really important for supporting English learners. Communication is of course key, and it should be done in ways families understand and can comprehend. This could include translated messages, interpreters, or bilingual resources. Teachers can also involve families by inviting them to school events, asking them to share their culture, or giving them strategies to support learning at home. Strong partnerships also include the community. Schools can work with organizations or cultural groups to provide support and resources for the students and their families. When families, schools, and communities work together, students are more likely to succeed. In conclusion, supporting English learners is about focusing on their strengths instead of their struggles. Their language, culture, and experiences are all assets that can help them succeed. By creating inclusive classrooms, supporting their needs, and building strong connections with the families, teachers can make a big impact. Thank you.